Hey everyone, welcome to Argo's Q&A Live. This is Captain Jeff, and we've got Ambassador Dave Rowe with us. If you haven't joined us in the past, Dave is a full-time cruiser and knows not only a lot about apps, but boating in general. So you're coming up with some questions this evening. They can be app related or just general boat related. We've got you covered. But happy to be here tonight. Dave and I did a little bit of flip flop here in terms of where we're located. He was in Wilmington, North Carolina. He took his boat north. He had some fuel issues and got out of here in a hurry, I think, to try and get up into closer to Virginia, Maryland area, get some work done on his boat. I, in turn, drove to Wilmington, North Carolina today, so I've been in the car all day, but we're both happy to be here with you. A lot of exciting things going on with Argo. We're looking forward to questions and trying to help answer anything that you want to know. Like I said, Argo related, boating related, happy to try and answer those questions. We did hope to get a release out this morning. Unfortunately, it didn't make it, but as soon as the App Store approves it, it'll be out. It's probably our biggest release in the last month. 2.0 was huge, but this one has a lot of improvements, bug fixes, and some really cool features. I'm excited about it. We can talk more about that tonight. But like I said, put your questions, send your questions into us. We're happy to answer them. If
Yeah,
we
just
don't
put them
see
in the chat.
put them in chat.
Yeah, in the comments. Yeah, exactly. I think it's
Oh,
comments no matter how you look at it.
I forgot to
So,
mention, today is Dave's birthday, so we're going to be celebrating Dave's birthday tonight. Yeah, he's on his second or third beer there, but that's okay. Looking forward to a good half hour. Hopefully, we can entertain you.
well, we've got some exciting stuff that's happening. You just mentioned that we have an update coming out presently. You know, it'll be out in the next day or two. What's in that, Jeff? What's the big deal on this
Yeah,
one? Because
there's a
I'm
lot in there,
feeling
but yeah, there you go. Happy birthday. The
it.
most exciting thing, of
Thank
course,
you.
not everybody and not everyone is going to find this exciting, but many are. The ability to download offline charts. We improved it a month or so ago, but we've got a significant improvement coming. Not only larger areas, faster downloads. You can even put the download operation in background so you can continue to use the app. So I will tell you the areas are not as large as I think we can go. We wanted to get this release out, see how it went, but I think pretty soon you're going to be able to download very, very large regions, which I
Really?
think a lot of people want. They boat in the Atlantic, East Mid Atlantic. They want all of that area in one download, and I think soon you'll be able to get that.
All right. Almost boating season in Michigan. Looking forward to the improvements. Well, there will be many. We've got some really interesting stuff in the pipeline here. I'm just looking down the list, Jeff. We have NMEA support coming up, along with AIS by extension. That's going to be huge. Oh,
Yeah.
we got an actual question though here. Is there a way to email subscribers of known bugs so if one is encountered, we understand it's a temporary glitch? Well, most of the time when we find out we have a bug, I think it comes from people like you. uh, Correct me if I'm wrong here, Jeff, but generally we don't know until we hear from users, and that's going to be changing hopefully soon, right? We've got some beta testers starting to work.
Yeah, but it true, but it is a good question. I've often wondered whether I should post known bugs on the Facebook group, just so, okay, we just found out about this bug. We want you to know that we're addressing it. Some bugs we can address in a matter of days, others take a little longer. So it's a good question. I mean, I don't know what the best forum is. At one point in time, I'd hope to have some sort of a be able to send out a notification through the app that would kind of hit all active users, and they would see, okay, there's a notification, we've got a bug, you might experience it. Hopefully we're going to reduce and eliminate a lot of these bugs, but yeah, it's software, so I think we're always going to be dealing with them. So I'd say it's a good question. Maybe one we'll think about and figure out a way that we
I've
can.
got some thoughts on this. We'll have to talk
Yeah.
about this
Yeah.
later. But yeah, that's definitely a thought. See, what else do we have? The depth fonts, that's in this this new update, right?
It is. It hasn't come out. We did talk about it in the newsletter yesterday, and unfortunately, it's not out yet. But I'm hoping by tomorrow it will be. And this is something we've gotten from a lot of people. Maybe they're older eyes. They have a hard time, particularly when you zoom in and out. The depth numbers get too small to see. So we, in this next release, will give you the option to adjust the size of those depth numbers, and in addition, adjust the color. If you've got certain depth shading that it would be better if they were white or red or black, whatever color you would want to see those numbers. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of size and color. We're trying to give a lot of flexibility, but not so much that the app becomes non-intuitive or difficult to understand. You throw too much in an app, it's hard to understand how to use it. But on the other hand, for some of our power users, when they ask us, hey, can you do this? We want to respond that yes, in fact, you can. Here's how you do it.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
Another thing we recently fixed, which I don't know if those of you that are out there tonight have been experiencing it, but I've been experiencing it because I hear from users all the time. How do you log in? I can't log in. My Google login's not working. My password's not working. Some of that is due to our login tokens. And the good news is I think we've got that fixed. According to my developers, if you're signed in, it should not kick you out at all. You should not have to sign in again. So if that's not the case, let us know. But the good news is for you and for me, some of these login sign-in issues could be a thing of the past.
Well, I'm hoping.
Exactly.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Anything else in the pipeline before we don't have any
Well,
other questions?
Yeah, there's some.
Up, so.
One thing I'm also excited about is we've come up with a new look for both our captain's log. We've been adjusting the captain's log quite a bit, but we've got a new look there as well as my pins. It's easier to get to some of the actions like creating a report in your captain's log, importing or exporting a GPX file. They're not hidden behind the 3 dots anymore. We had a lot of features and actions that were hidden behind 3 dots. So that's going to look different. I think my pins will now contain all your places, your private places, public places that you favorited. If you suggest some places that we add to our community database, that will be there as well. And you'll be able to find out the status of that. Has it been approved? Has it not been approved, and why? So there was a lot added to that. I think it's going to be a really cool place for you to manage all of your, what do you call them, places or waypoints. All of those points that you've added to your chart will now be under my pins, and you can see them both in a list view, a map view. It's very flexible. Just same with the captain's log. You can see your routes, your tracks, any of your trips in a map view as well as a list view.
So is there going to be bulk editing in my pins? So could I go through and
there is a bulk delete. I don't know about bulk editing yet, but there is a bulk delete. So if you want to clean up your trips or clean up your pins, you can kind of bulk delete.
That's awesome. I'll have to play with that because I have way too many pins right now. I think most of them are your fault. I'll tell you, because at
Could
boat
be.
shows you create pins on my app all the time.
Yeah. And I guess related to this, and maybe it's for some more of our power users, but when you drop pins, they're not always easy to see. You've got to zoom in to see them. In the past, I've told people copy them to your or bookmark them to your captain's log, and you'll be able to see them very easily at a top zoom level. Well, that's gone away. We've taken them out of the captain's log. You won't find places. There's no more places tab in your captain's log. But if you favorite a place, any place, a private place, a public place, if you favorite it, it will then rise up to the top and you'll be able to see it without having to zoom in. So that's a good thing to know. If you've got places that you like to go to, you want to see them very easily, just favorite them and you'll see them on the chart much more easily.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I did you see the new blog, Jeff?
I
know
did. Actually, there's been a lot of discussion around that blog that you just posted.
Really, has there? I haven't
Well,
heard
not
about
just the
this.
blog, but if you follow some of the other Facebook forums, there's a lot of talk about following routes, tracks, things like that blindly. And Dave's got
Right.
strong opinions about that. So he wrote a blog on it and posted it a week or two ago.
I
You want to
sure
tell us
did.
about that?
I'm going to take a moment to, and before I launch into it, I just want to remind people that we are taking questions right now, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. We'll get to them. But I'm going to launch into this right now. I see we got a fresh question right there. We'll get that in a second. But one of the things that I feel that everybody needs to understand as they're using, whether they be Bob's tracks, if you know what those are, up and down the ICW, or auto routing in Argo or auto routing in any other app, Rule 9 is important. And Rule 9 comes directly out of the rules of the road as published by the U.S. Coast Guard and the coal regs, which are the internationally agreed to navigation rules. And Rule 9 dictates how we behave as boaters in narrow channels and who is the stand-on vessel, right? We don't say right of way, technically. We say stand on because that implies a certain obligation to not change your course or speed. And that's often mistaken for right of way, but no, it's stand on. You're to stay on your course and speed. And Rule 9 just dictates how we as boaters behave in those narrow channel situations, and how you're supposed to communicate with other boats and who should move over to allow other traffic to pass and these sorts of things. And there's a huge thing that has been going on. It started actually probably 2 weeks ago. There's a guy who runs a blog. It's a Substack blog called Loose Cannon, and he published an article about this very subject, and he really was pointing the finger at users of Bob 423's tracks. And it really got me thinking about how important it is, not just for users of Bob 423's tracks, but users of auto routes, because there's a tendency for us as boaters to think, well, I have this route, I got to stay on this route, I can't veer from this route because this might be the only safe water that I have. And Rule 9 tells you that no, you have to actually understand the waters that you're in, pay attention, keep your head on a swivel, know what your surroundings are like, know what the depth around you is like, so you know if you can get out of the way. And so, if you do have somebody coming up hard on your tail and they want to get around you, you can say to them, well, once we get up past green 3 up here, I'll be able to get over and you can come around me. Those sorts of things. It's really freeing to have that ability. And it's all written right there in the rules. The other piece that goes sort of with that is your planning. You're looking, you get your auto route in Argo or your manual route, you know where you're going. Before you leave, there's something that the U.S. Coast Guard, actually, they just put a huge update out on this. It's called the Local Notices to Mariners, LNMs. And checking those before you get underway to make sure that all the bridges, all the drawbridges are going to be able to open for you, that there aren't any missing aids to navigation, or there aren't any wrecks or things that you should be worried about between here and there. And I actually have started using ChatGPT for this. I will say, I'll type into ChatGPT, I am going from Wilmington, North Carolina to Beaufort, North Carolina today. What are the LNMs that I need to be worried about? And ChatGPT will actually search them for me and tell me. But the U.S. Coast Guard has now initiated an on-map LNM service. So if you go to their website, you can actually see on a map where all the issues are. So it's really,
these have not been easily accessible in the past, but today they
exactly.
are. I mean, there's a lot of them, so the key was trying to figure out which ones are relevant to me, and that has become a lot easier. You can, through ChatGPT or the new LNM
The
source,
tool on
the tool they
exactly.
have, yeah, it's much easier to find the LNMs that are most relevant to you in your area.
And people have actually been asking us if we're going to bring LNMs into the app as well. And we are working on ways of doing that. But because the new format that the Coast Guard just launched is so new, and it really isn't geared toward us hoovering the data into Argo, we have some work to do to figure out how to make all that work. But we'll get there. I'm confident we'll get there. We have a question. Can we explain the different map choices? Standard type doesn't look at all like NOAA ENC. Well, there's a very good reason for that. Why don't you start with this one, Jeff, and I'll
Well,
pop
sure.
in as I go.
Yeah, I think the goal of Argo early on was to make our charts a little bit more easier to read, but at the same time showing you all the critical information. And I think a lot of our users have seen that. They like the view, the look of our charts, our app, but we've also along the way recognized that there is probably more critical information that we need to make accessible on our charts on the standard satellite. And well, we have terrain also, but I don't know how often that gets used. But things like restricted areas, shoal areas, shipping channels, things like that. So we're in the process of adding that. We don't want it to just duplicate the NOAA ENC, but I mean, that is the source of our information. So we are going to be, in a sense, providing a different look, a different version of the NOAA ENC eventually. Right now, and guilty, we don't have all the information that we should perhaps that are displayed in the NOAA ENC, but that's always there as an optional view for you. So if you're boating in an area where you want a lot more detail maybe than what we're giving you, that's an option to pull up. And Dave, as a full-time cruiser, he's looking at as much information as possible, so he's making the right decisions.
I'm always looking at the ENC. I pull it up all the time, and I look at it against what's in Argo. And I'll even look in other apps as well, because I am looking for all the information. I don't want to miss a thing. I want to know where all the rocks are. I'll make sure that all the aids to navigation are where I expect them to be. I want to make sure that any shoaling is right there, so I understand what I'm getting myself into. And yeah, I mean, there isn't one single product on the internet, on the app stores or the Play Store right now that does it all well all the time. So to me, it's just due diligence to compare 2 or 3 different sources of information, and then get in there and do it. It's like checking the LNMs to me. It's just something you do. It's part of the process.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Dave, I'll
Jay.
just add, our charts, unlike the NOAA ENC, are developed based on a lot of sources of depth data, not just NOAA. So we've integrated all of the Army Corps of Engineer data surveys up and down the ICW and all the major waterways. So when you're looking at our depth data, it's much more than just NOAA, and hopefully we're going to add more to that. You can also shade and customize the contour lines of our charts that you see on the standard and satellite views. You can't do that with NOAA. So there's obviously some flexibility, some things that are very customizable with our charts that you don't see with the NOAA ENC, but the NOAA ENC does have a little bit more detail in some areas, which we hope to add soon.
Exactly. We got John here. He's bringing up Lake Erie and the shoreline detail issues that we're having in some spots. Yeah, we haven't forgotten about it. We are working very hard on that. It's water coverage stuff that is at the forefront. And we were just talking about Lake Erie about 2 days ago, and ways that we might be able to improve that. So I don't know that we are any closer to a solution yet, but I do know that we are looking at it and trying to figure out exactly what is going sideways there, and we'll get.
You're talking about water coverage and OSM versus Google, where
Yeah,
they don't align very well. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, we've used a source, an international source, to get our water coverage. Everyone uses it, but it doesn't always align perfectly with Google Maps. So it is something we want to go in and edit and improve, particularly where it affects the routing. So we'll be doing that as well.
Ian is further concerned about the accuracy in the upper Chesapeake, which is where you're at. So I think.
Yeah, no,
Ian,
I'd love to, if you could offline send us, and you do. I've talked to you a number of times. I'd love to take a look at Wharton Creek and see where some of the inaccuracy lies. Is it the fact that NOAA doesn't have good data, or we're not representing the NOAA depth data that is available very well? I'm not sure. Generally, it's yeah, I guess we need to look at markers to make sure that they're located properly. We need to look at depth data, and if the source data is not available, like for instance NOAA, or we've misrepresented something. But in general, we take the NOAA data. In that case, it wouldn't be the Army or Corps of Engineers, but we are just taking the source data that's available and displaying it.
Right. Hey, this is one I like to see. Nice features. Keep up the good work. I wish
the app was perfect, but I don't know if any app is, and it certainly keeps us in business. And Ian's comments, I love it. We like to know where you find that our charts, our app is not doing what you expect, because we care about that. We want to get it right. So appreciate all the feedback, good and bad.
Yeah, we are working on it. I mean, Jeff and I have been on the phone with each other over the last 3 days, probably half of them.
And we can talk about some of the things that we are talking about. As you know, our routing does a really good job generally of finding you the shortest path, which a lot of our users appreciate. It lets you customize the route based on your boat's criteria, your draft, and the margin of safety above your draft. But in some cases, NOAA doesn't provide very good depth data. There are channels. The Coast Guard does a good job of marking those channels, but our routing doesn't recognize that, and it's just looking at depth. So we're trying to figure out how can we, in those cases, or when the user is set on, I want you to follow the chart and the channel markers no matter what, we want to give you that option. So we're looking at how can we route on the channels when it's critical, or when the users want to do that. Like I said, some like to get there as quickly as possible. They don't mind going outside of the channels as long as you can ensure that the depth is fine, but that's not for everybody. So we want to try and provide options to our users.
And it's a remarkably complicated issue, despite the fact that there are hard and fast rules of navigation for navigating channels, like Rule 9, which we were talking about earlier. And if the numbers are going up, the reds are going to be on your right. There are things like red right rising. There are hard and fast rules that we can point to that we can hopefully hang some code on, but it's surprisingly nuanced, and we are surprised at how difficult this problem actually is. Or at least I am.
Well, Dave and I feel like it should be easy. Our developer and our coder, we haven't come to agreement. For us, we know to stay on a certain side of the green buoy or the red buoy, but to get the code to actually figure that out when it's not consistent, sometimes it's not red, green, it goes red, green, 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 red. It's there's no consistency when it comes to how the markers and the channels are laid out. So.
And code doesn't like inconsistency.
No.
So at any rate, hey, we don't have any more questions right now. We are nearing the end of our half hour, Jeff. It is my birthday. I'm having a party.
Yeah, we're not going to sing happy birthday to you because I'm the only one
not looking for it.
That's good. Yeah.
But if anybody else has any other questions or thoughts or comments, now would be the time, because I think we're fixing to wrap things up here in a minute.
Yeah, we had some small, and I can talk some small features. Surprisingly, we had a lot of people asking us, how do you delete something from the search history? So you can do that now. I don't know. It does refresh, so it only keeps your last 20 searches. And that can be a search when you're creating a route. It could be just a search. But if for some reason you want to get rid of some of them, you can do that. It'll just pull up so you always have 20. For those of you that don't know, throughout the app, if you want to delete something, the common way of deleting is just slide the card to the right, tap the red trash can. We use that a lot throughout the app. So if you're not sure how to delete something from the captain's log, from my pins, from your favorites, from search history, that's how you do it. But the big things we talked about, which we're excited about, better offline chart download. We got NMEA integration and AIS coming very soon. We've got the app performing, I think, better than it ever has. We're continuing to tweak some of that, but we're really hoping, and you guys can help us out. We want to know, is it working well when you're out on the water? That's a key to us this season. Is it performing? Is it working well? Is the GPS accurate? And if not, please let us know. We want to get it right. We want to know if it's not working for you.
Exactly. Hey, I'm getting happy birthdays here. This is great. Thank you. But with that, hey, we'll do this again next month at the same time, will we not, Jeff?
We will. But if you got questions, like, what's that?
I was just going to say second Thursday.
Second Thursday. That's right. But if you have any questions that can't wait, you know how to get a hold of us. support@argonav.io. Dave and I are there waiting for questions.
Exactly. Love to get them. Love to answer them. And I love it when I'm stumped too, because sometimes that means we have work to do. And half of the fun of doing this is those moments when we have a project and we just need to figure out how to make it work. So with that,
thanks for joining us. Yeah.
And we'll be right back
until next month.
Exactly. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.